Yeah, Jesus.
I feel like that is the start of the noticeable drop in quality in the back, like the
It
last
kind
half,
of
like
is.
the last. It's not like the whole show is bad, but I do feel like there's a noticeable drop in quality
It
on the whole past like 38. Is
it
it?
definitely kind of fumbles toward the
It
finish.
definitely stumbles towards the end. Hi, Arthur. I mean, I still think it's good. I do genuinely think that Lupin Ranger vs Powder Ranger is worth watching. Um,
Yeah.
I also think that it fumbles the ending really hard for
Yeah.
various reasons that are not entirely Komura's fault.
No, but
A lot of it being that like the mandate came down to prioritize certain characters above certain other characters. Some people, I don't know any of those people. Anyway,
wait. Super Lupin X and Super Patron X having the wrong fucking form underneath them is
disgusting.
so annoying. Still bothers me that they did that. I get it,
And
but
also, yeah,
like,
and also the Noel stuff, which dominated a lot of the last 10 episodes, was pretty
oh, it
bad.
did, yeah.
Was pretty
That was
bad.
not great.
It soured a lot of the better moments, to be honest. I mean, the ending of the show was still good. I still think the show ended fine, like for what it was. I think it did a good job.
Yeah,
It ended
just
in the
like,
most unorthodox way possible, but I feel like for an unorthodox show, it had to do that. You know,
yeah,
I think I would consider Lupin Ranger as a head writer Komura's best work.
that's probably fair to say, I
I
think.
certainly wouldn't consider Chuojer her best
Yeah,
work. I think her best work ever, like her best work period, I would consider to be her work on Gokaiger. Where she was like she was one of the more prominent sub writers actually on Gokaiger, which assumably is why they keep putting her on head writing shit now. Um, because she like basically apprenticed under Arakawa as a writer. Um, but in terms of like a show that was hers, I think that Lupat is the best that she has to offer right now. Because I think that Juoger was bad. Not. I think that Juoger was. I don't. It's bad. I didn't like it. I was trying to think of a nicer way to say that I think the show
but
sucks and I hated it.
but factually,
I can't. I don't like. It wasn't great. It wasn't my taste. It's not just that it wasn't to my taste. I think that it was to nobody's taste except for people who like it. There are actually some pretty sizably vocal Georgia fans. I do recognize that. And I think that Zenkaiger wasn't a show as much as it was just sort of a collection of things that happened.
yeah, just a vehicle for stuff.
Zenkaiger, I think, would have been better. We keep talking about this, but like, I think Zenkaiger would have been better if, you know how people have a lot of problems with like Showa and early Heisei Ultraman, where they're like, there's no show happening. It's just like because like a lot of people approach like, for example, Tiga. I've had a lot of people, despite Tiga being literally one of the most celebrated and like beloved Ultra series of all time, or even like Ultra 7, also equally as beloved and celebrated, say that
Yeah,
they hated it, that it was trash, that it was like garbage. They couldn't imagine why anybody actually likes that stuff. And it's because I think, I mean, maybe some of them just have discerning tastes, but I think a lot of the time when people say that to me, I think what they're really like, not what they mean, but like what they don't realize is that they're approaching the show incorrectly. Like they're going into Tiga thinking that it's gonna play like Kuga or like, whatever, like Common Rider, where it's going to have a
yeah,
forward moving plot with character arcs and progression and like things moving forward. Tiga, you could literally just shuffle the fucking episodes and watch in any order because it's an anthology. You know, it's the same with
yeah,
Ultraman, Ultra 7, Taro, Leo to a lesser extent actually, but like most of the Showa stuff, a lot of the earlier haste, basically everything up before New Generation or Mabius, Mabius kind of had a formula, or like not really a formula, but Mabius actually had a like connecting plot threads sometimes.
Characters who like progress and stuff in very definite one after the other ways.
Yeah. Which is good. Like Mabius is really that bridge between the anthology style. Nexus also is a good example. I forget that Nexus exists because Nexus is the black sheep of the franchise.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. It functionally is the black sheep of the franchise. Into like Ginga, X, Orb, Zed, more modern stuff, where it has, even if it's still sort of at its core that anthology basis, it's still like one after another after another after another kind of stuff. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. But in Tiga, this thing happens, and then this thing happens. But maybe that thing happens before this thing. It doesn't really matter when it happens. Like, they're anthology shows in the same way that classic Star Trek or like Next Generation is an anthology show. You don't necessarily have to watch the show in order, and you're not going to get anything more out of watching the entire show like back to back to back to back to back than you would watching an episode a week or every 2 weeks or whatever, like how it aired on television. So I think that a lot of people bounce off of Tiga, Ultraman, Ultra 7 because they go in. Thank you. With like wildly misplaced expectations, and it's not necessarily their fault because they don't know that those expectations are wildly displaced. You watch a few seasons of Kamen Rider, you watch a few seasons of Super Sentai, and you think, okay, I know how tokusatsu works. And then you try to watch Ultraman, and you're like, this is boring, right? Because you're approaching it wrong. What was I getting at?
Yeah.
Zenkaiger would have been better if it was like that. Boring.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Like Tiga is a show where you have to just learn. You're not watching Tiga to get to the end of the show. You need to learn to take every single episode of Ultraman at its own face value. Like, you're not watching an episode of Ultraman to get to the next episode of Ultraman to get to the next episode of Ultraman like you would be with like Toku, like other Toku. Not that that's like, but like the reward of watching an episode of Ultraman is not the same reward as watching an episode of Kamen Rider. When you watch an episode of Kamen Rider and you're rewarded with progression in some way, they beat another monster, they're one step closer to saving the world or whatever, somebody learns something, they get a new power up, whatever. Like, you can be rest assured in Ultraman or in Kamen Rider that even if no visible progression is being made in the episode, you are constantly progressing towards something because that's how a linear narrative works, and especially because these things are like, pretty simple narratives, all things considered. Ultraman doesn't work like that when there is no forward narrative to be found in Ultraman or Ultra 7 or Tiga or whatever. You need to take each episode of Ultraman as its own completely fully entity, right? Other than a few special episodes, the first episode that explains what's going on. But once you have the premise down, like episode 49 of Ultraman, that's not the number I want to say, like episode 13 of Ultraman, I don't know what these numbers are, I'm just making them up, right? It's just its own thing. It's just a thing that happens. It's just a sci-fi anthology because its roots come from Ultra Q. So like, when you watch that episode from beginning to end and you sit there and that's the entire experience, that's it. So you have to take that experience as its own wholesale thing rather than as a part of a collective. Because if you sit there, you torrent, a dozen episodes of Tiga and you watch them back to back to back and you don't feel like anything's happening because you're not taking the time, you're not spending the time and attention per episode to really get that, like, to get the maximum out of it. Like, the episodes want you to think about them and not just move on and think about the show as a whole. Like, Tiga is a show that... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is my excuse for why I still haven't finished Mabius.
Yeah.
I'm still digesting the episodes I watched 6 months ago.
Ultraman isn't... Old Ultraman isn't a show that asks you to take the entire the entire show as a whole. It asks you to take each piece individually, right? So it doesn't want you to look at all 50 episodes of Ultra 7 and like judge the entire show based on that merit. It wants you to like individually interact with every episode, which is a lot like how older Star Trek shows work, mostly next gen and original series, but especially original series, because it's the same style except it's the Western style of 60s and 70s sci-fi anthology, right? Which is a long-winded way to say you have to adjust your expectations when you're watching Ultraman, and I don't think enough people are told or aware of like the need to adjust your expectations, or they just don't want, like, this is not what they're looking for, you know? So a lot of people end up thinking that older Ultraman is just unwatchable because to them it's like really boring, or like doesn't have a plot, or like whatever, fails to capture the attention. But it really asks you to engage with the show and like on a beat by beat basis on each episode, and like what social commentary is it trying to tell you, like, you know, mostly it's that, what social commentary is like Ultra 7 trying to make, like what moralizing is the show trying to make, what is it wanting you to think about, because it's a sci-fi anthology, it wants you to think about shit. But as opposed to like modern Ultra, you can just pick up Zed and just watch it front to back, like it's just a normal show, you know? They kind of cut that shit out with Ginga and never went back, because that's just not really what modern audiences want anymore.
No, and bringing this back around, Zenkaija is what people who don't like old Ultraman think old Ultraman is.
Yeah.
Where you're watching it episode to episode, nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening. The characters and the plot aren't going anywhere.
The characters are just cardboard cutouts.
Zenkaija is not an anthology. Zenkaija is just a show where things don't happen. Unless you're Stacy.
But I think Zenkaija would have been better if it was formatted like an anthology.
If there was enough going on in each individual episode to really merit how disconnected and sort of static they all were.
Yeah, and
but
also
that would have involved an actual cast of characters probably, which...
That's not true. Ultra 7 didn't have characters in it.
Oh, it's for a Sentai to do that, though.
Yeah. Maybe it has characters.
They would have had to... Maybe it does have characters. Maybe it has characters all over the place.
Maybe the most characters of all time.
Could well be. Yusa. I just remember when Murakami was in fucking Mabius. I didn't know about that when I watched that episode.
I didn't know about that either.
Painful.
Fucking... Yeah, if I think if Zenkaija had lowered the stakes even lower, I don't know how you could possibly make a superhero show that's like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that like Ultraman isn't a superhero show, but Ultraman kind of isn't a superhero show.
Yeah, it's doing something else.
Not on the same level that, I mean, I would consider it to be a hero show, sort of inherently, but it's not the same level of like superhero show as Toei Tokusatsu. You know? And I'm not sure how exactly you would be able to get away with an anthology-based Sentai series. I don't think it's possible.
Probably not.
Without it being really disjointed or boring.
And funny enough,
they tried that.
Lion. They tried making a Sentai series that was really disjointed and boring.
And it worked great!
Yeah.
So
we watched all of it.
And the sales
we're talking about it now.
Sales were okay, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it broke the trend of them not doing amazingly, but
I wonder if it sold better than...
That's... Yeah.
The problem
is kind of the... Zenkaija did start off acting like it was going to be written, and then decided it wasn't going to be, long enough into the show for you to think, oh, damn, this could be interesting if it was written.
That is unfortunately the problem. We talked about this when the show ended in that stream. But the problem with Zenkaija was that it really didn't telegraph what was going to be the focus of the show. So like the first opening episodes made you think that there would be all of the normal things that a normal Sentai has. Character focused episodes, a fucking plot, characters, anything, you know.
Really, yeah. It's a show about
nothing. Yeah, the early episodes of Zenkaiger, especially the opening act, made you think that there would be some kind of, focus or discussion about, the Tochitendo, especially with like characters like, stop it, like Jiran, who like obliquely, definitively suffered at the hands of the dynasty. And then it was just all sort of brushed under the rug so that we could do,
costumes.
Dried Promisian world.
Oh.
fucking Daikon world.
Fucking Daikon world. I think was it? Like the episode when Zox was introduced, or the one after where it kind of just stopped being a show? It was right around
that point when it just sort of died. It wasn't like directly when Zox was introduced.
No, it was a few episodes right close after.
I feel like it was once the first time they wrote Stacy out. Do you remember, like, there was like a couple episodes after Zox started hanging around, Stacy and Kaito had their like big confrontation the first time.
Yeah.
And he was off the beat for like maybe 2 or 3 episodes. I feel like that's about the point when they gave up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that was definitely, because past that point, see, the thing is, like, up to that point they were sort of writing a little by the seat of their pants at least in terms of Stacy being a present force in the show, because he wasn't originally present in the show at all, right?
Yeah.
Stacy was made last minute, essentially. And so in the moment, I thought when they wrote Stacy out the first time, like, obviously he's not dead. When they wrote Stacy out that time, they thought, well, this is going to give them 2 or 3 weeks to sit down and think about the long term for Stacy and how he's going to figure into the rest of the plot. Little did I know that apparently what they decided was there is no rest of the fucking plot. There's just Stacy.
That's it. That is your lot.
Yeah, like, they fixed Gowon's racism in the 20s, in the early 20s. Yeah. They basically pacified Tsukaiser. Stacy got an upgrade, and then the show just became whatever. And at the very, 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 very last possible minute, tail end of the show, they started throwing a bone to, like, Majinu. Really just her. She got that one episode where she was kind of the star. The, like, Bad Luck World episode.
Yeah.
And that was it. Vroon got like 2 lines in the finale about how he used to work for the Tochitendo that wasn't really even particularly important.
Rough.
But it's like, but again, like, they set up a lot of things in the early stages, just like you would in any normal Sentai, where they had a lot of things that they could dive into and dissect and talk about. And even just as the anniversary stuff, I mean, even Stacy as a character obviously got a lot. Although if you really think about it, it was just the same plot beat repeated over and over and over again. We finished. We're actually done, Bunny. That was barely... I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really count it as a focus episode. It was just that she got to do a thing. Instead of normally just sitting over in the corner and saying her roll call. And then not doing anything. But, like, early in the show, Stacy was an actual rival to Kaito. Like, when he first came around, like, he was actually like winning the fights, like, having an actual rivalry. He summoned Sentai Mechs, which he never did again.
I think after Zox showed up and shot a couple of those gears, it was like, okay, and he just doesn't have those anymore.
I guess.
He did it, with Jacka that one time.
I mean, he used up until the late game when he used O-Ranger and Shinkenger, and then he started using Super Rangers. But he never used a mecha again.
He never did.
Doofy. Is the beginning of Zenkaiger promised so much, if not literally, then by implication promised so much, and then the rest of the show was just so by the book. Yeah. Once you strip out the wacky antics, like how funny it is that dried Promisian world is a thing or whatever, there's nothing actually of any substance going on in Zenkaiger. Like when you strip the jokes away and you have nothing. You have nothing left. It's sad. It's really sad.
Thing.
It's sad. You have nothing. I mean, there's nothing of substance in that show whatsoever. I hate to say it. I mean, I still enjoyed it for the most part. Like, I don't know. We got pretty sick of it in the middle there.
I think by the time it was over, I think there was definitely like
apathy. It was just apathy. Yeah. It wasn't even like I hate Zenkaiger. Like, I don't hate Zenkaiger. I don't begrudge it. It's just pure apathy at this point, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. What Rob's saying is like,
yeah,
it didn't really go nuts enough to justify having fuck all else going on. Like, it wasn't wacky enough to really set it apart from other Sentai, and they just decided that was all. Like, that's your lot.
Go-Ranger was so goofy that people used to insist that it was a parody. I don't know if anybody remembers this or how widespread it was, but when I was getting into Sentai back in about a decade ago, I used to see people insist that Engine Sentai Go-Ranger was a parody season because of how goofy it was.
That's pretty funny.
But it's really, like, it isn't. It's literally not a parody season. There are no parody seasons of Super Sentai, except for, I guess, Akiba Ranger is a parody.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even really that goofy. Like, people also say that about Car Ranger, which is also just not true. It's not really a parody. It's just a silly season. I mean, yeah, no, I'm definitely not begrudging the show for people who like it. It did have a high energy. It did at least keep us on the moment to moment pretty entertained.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when we were watching it, I remember when we like finished, we'd always be like, "Well, I have absolutely nothing to say, but I had a good enough time."
Yeah,
you know?
it was
like it succeeded at what it was doing, which was just to keep you entertained, and that's fine. You know it.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that they didn't know they were doing that from the beginning, because there is always that lingering sense of frustration that none of the interesting stuff the writers came up with got to actually be anything.
Yeah.
I think that's my like none of the characters mattered, none of the plot points. The fact they wrote SD World back in after not mentioning it for literally like 30 episodes. Awesome show.
They had to invent a god.
I genuinely kind of forgot.
Except apparently, according to Komura, that character was written from the start.
How?
Which just doesn't seem possible.
That's a lie. That's not true.
It's a lie.
There's no way.
Apparently, according to production blogs, that character was planned from the start. But
I don't believe it. I do not believe that for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's. I think that's maybe where I'm at. Too.
Yeah.
Any individual episode of Zenkaiger is a good time. Sometimes I find myself like, if I'm like going through files, I just like click on an episode of Zenkaiger. I'm just like, yeah, and I just find myself watching it for like half an hour. I'm like, yeah, that's fun. I mean, like week to week to week to week, back to back to back to back to back, with no plot to interrupt it, no stakes, and it's just like, yeah. I do remember very distinctly, like there was a couple weeks, of us doing the show here, and just complete apathy from my end in terms of caring what's going on.
Yeah, I think I definitely had a couple weeks like that as well. Like when it was just deep in the glut with like not even Stacy happening to like keep your attention. When it was just antics for 20 minutes every week for like 3 weeks in a row, it was like, okay, I get it.
The most exciting thing was seeing if they would use the fucking canon to like, you know, show a fucking Sentai character I liked or something. Yeah, I mean, I think every franchise maybe has something like this. It's just an overindulgence in tropes, maybe.
Yeah,
which is sad because, like we were saying, like they didn't go full tilt enough to make it worth what they had to give up to do it.
Yeah, like if every episode had just been like the one trope end to end, and like that was the thing, each episode was clearly one of those, that could have been something, but it was like, no, here's just a themed monster, and the characters are going to put on costumes to deal with it, and that's
the most amusing.
That's it.
I think the most amusing thing about the show was how Power Rangers proofing they made it.
Oh yeah, it was really funny. There's no chance.
Yeah, you can
It's
have.
so
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's so funny that all the guys except for Zenkaiser and Stacy are seasons of Power Rangers.
Yep.
So like they had to make absolutely goddamn solid certain it could never happen for any reason. We have
Yeah.
Go Ranger, Battle Fever, and also just everything else. Bunch of very obscure like Japanese cultural references.
Ninja Captor.
Ninja, fuck me. I was thinking about this yesterday, like while I was in the shower. This was like, he just came to me. I was like, man, Hakaiser really wasn't anything in the end, was he?
Nope.
That was me remembering Hakaiser and then realizing he didn't matter in 1 second.
Was nothing.
Fuck
They
me.
could have. They didn't even have. They
waste.
didn't even have the goddamn decency to let him be Hakaiser afterwards and like be an extra hero.
Truly fucked.
They just like, yep, and we're done with that. Yeah, Gillespie's 20 wasn't the 45th anniversary. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it kind of wasn't a great anniversary season.
At least, well, Donbrothers is the second opportunity for that, I guess. Not, I wouldn't say Donbrothers is much of a celebration, but
no, it's got something.
Yeah, no, but like, if you want, you can be funny and still have world building and characters and plots and themes and shit. You can, and if you want a Sentai that's like as like wacky as Gokaiger, but has plot and themes and characters, just watch Go-Onger. Did I say Gokaiger? I meant Zenkaiger, but watch Go-Onger. Yeah. Go-Onger is fucking pretty good, actually, and it has those wacky, silly, like so wacky, silly. People used to call it a parody. Moments and like goofy monsters and stupid shit, but it actually has memorable characters, an actual plot, themes, the fucking villains that actually matter. Dare I say that the fucking Gaiark trio from Go-Onger are the most memorable characters from that show. Those characters are so fucking funny and so good. There were episodes of Go-Onger where I genuinely was like sad that they kept losing. Maybe the only time I think that's ever happened to me where I as watching an episode, watching Super Sentai like back to back, like day to day or whatever, and I felt genuinely upset at some points when the Gaiark trio just kept losing all the time. It just felt it just made me sad. I was like, they're my friends. Really good show. Yeah. Hey Harv. Yeah, and Kira Major is also better.
Yeah, I still need to watch more of that.
Yeah, you do. Right now, actually.
I watched an episode the other day.
Yeah, where are you right now?
Where am I in it right now? Let me have a look. I need to have this saved in a better format.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, once you, like, past a certain point, once we all started to realize what Zenkaiger obviously meant to be, like, what it's going to be, and it just becomes a point where it's like, is that something you want to see or not? Because for me, it wasn't. But for a lot of people, it was, you know. Some people were just fine with it just being stupid, silly antics week after week after week. And for a while I was too, until it just got like grating. I feel like I almost feel like maybe doing this show, you know how we said that doing this show helped us through the parts of Revice that weren't so great?
Yeah.
I think that this show actually did damage to my perception of Zenkaiger.
I think it was a detriment.
Maybe was a detriment because, you know, we typically do like to talk about, hey, Doodle, hi, thank you so much for the raid. Let me get your shout out. Shikori. I've never heard of that. What is that? Do you have fun? What was I saying? I don't want to forget. The show is a detriment because like we want to talk about Zenkaiger here, but there's nothing much to talk about. Like there were a lot of weeks where we literally were just like, yep, there's nothing to say about that. Moving on.
We all saw the episode.
And I think that damaged my perception of the show where I was just like, in my head, I was like, there's nothing to talk about this show. There's nothing to say. There's nothing going on. And I don't know if maybe, like, I'm kind of thinking about it now that maybe my perception of Zenkaiger started to go down after we started doing this show. Because I remember I
we
remember
were watching
liking it when I was live
yeah.
blogging it, but once we started doing the show, I feel like my opinion started to drop a little bit.
Yeah, I
So
feel like this kind of adds some pressure to it
maybe.
a little bit. Not like massively, but like we're making it a thing. We're getting people together. We're sitting down, watching it collectively, and saying stuff and making jokes. Whereas if we were just watching it one on one, we could just put it on and be like, "Man, that's so crazy."
Yeah, maybe.
That's so funny that they did that, and then just be like, "Oh, that was fun. That was a fun 20 minutes I had watching this," and
Maybe
then move on and do something else.
Maybe that is a genuine detriment.
Oops.
In which case,
the show's cancelled.
We argue a lot about the show's canceled. We argue a lot about people's opinions. This is a pretty common discussion in Toku. People's perception of a show about if they watched it live or if they watched it in bulk.
Yeah,
a lot of people will say that it swings either way depending on who you're talking to and what you're talking about, that a show reads better if you watch it week to week, or that a show will read better if you watch it in bulk. I remember for Build, a lot of us will say, a lot of us who are there week to week will say that especially the first 2/3 of the show are unmatched. You can't get that back if you weren't watching it as it was airing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
not being able to watch the next episode for a week, that's and all the plot threads and the cliffhangers and stuff that were going on in those parts of Build, and not even counting just everybody discussing it and throwing theories around and stuff, but just purely just the fact that you just can't watch more show until there's more show to watch. I think that added a lot to the experience of watching Build. That is just, it can't be replicated anymore.
Yeah, you just can't.
You can't do that. I mean, unless you really force yourself to watch it week to week, but then you can't replicate the idea of other people also being in the same boat as you.
That same what's gonna happen kind of.
Unless you got a bunch of friends together who all agreed to watch Build once at a time. Or something. You could do that. I used to do that with Aaron with Precure. We would watch a couple episodes every couple of days. Of something we
used to watch shows together.
Something we'd both never seen before. But a lot of people would say that the week to week format really hindered Build in the final third of the show, with the Another Build stuff. The Lost Bottle arc really suffered from that week to week burnout.
That was kind of just a thing that I imagine that is much easier going through in one.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Funny thing, I've never watched a single moment of Build again since it finished.
Never watched the show, actually.
I've watched bits and pieces here and there, but as a rule, I've hardly touched it since it ended. Not ever
actually watched the show. I've never actually seen Build before. No,
I never watched.
When I rewatched Build with Shen, I was kind of where I was just so you know, the next arc's gonna it's not the best. I didn't like it very much the first time around. It might be a little rough, but we got through the Lost Bottle. First of all, we got through the entire Lost Bottle arc in one sitting because it's only 4 or 5 episodes, and it goes down a lot smoother. I don't know if it just went down smoother the second time because I wasn't I already knew. But it went down a lot smoother back to back than it was agonizingly waiting each week to just see whatever stupid shit was going to happen next week. And so there's always an argument to be made one way or the other as to what the quote unquote ideal viewing experience is, or the intended viewing experience, blah 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 blah. As a general rule, the intended viewing experience is week to week, but the job arc, that's also something that people argued a lot about when 01 was new.
Hotly contested.
I thought it was good, but I watched it.
Fine, yeah.
I didn't watch it week to week. I can definitely see why people were getting pretty sick of it week to week.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the best time with it, but I didn't think the arc itself was bad. I just fucking hate Guy so much,
I think
he's at his worst in that. So
I think
he's supposed to be. He's the
at
villain.
He's at his best. You mean?
He's at his, yeah. He's doing his best job as a villain, but I just was not having a fun time watching him being an endless, relentless dick to Aruto in every humor gear he came across.
Yeah, it got that was even my watch. Oh, that was a timeout. I meant to block. Fuck. Even my like back experience of that, I was pretty fucking sick of that. I was pretty fucking sick of that. But like, I think the thing about that arc specifically is that the payoff at the end makes it worth it. But the without knowing that payoff, I can see why people without being able to get to that payoff in essentially 1 or 2 sittings, which is what I did. I can see how that taking 6 weeks of your time might be okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I also think that it was hotly contested because it just was out of place, and it's just another matter of expectations. Like Rob was saying, it does seem like early phase 2 kind of stuff. A lot of double in there, a lot of Forza, maybe not really Forza, a lot of double in that arc, right?
Yeah.
But if that's not what you're tuning in to prepared for, I can see how you might just think you're just spinning in circles. I think literally I think that most of the problems that people have with a lot of toku, I mean some of it is genuinely bad, but a lot of it is just mismanaged expectations. People go into this episode arc of fucking 01 and they're like, why isn't the plot moving forward? And it's that's just not how we do things right now. The problem with,
I wonder.
Go ahead.
Oh, you first.
The problem with the genre is that everything is so similar that when something deviates from that similarity, it can often be negatively it be perceived negatively just because it's not what you feel like your expectations were not met. And you have to stop and I feel like I'm guilty of this too a lot as well. But the toku genre, especially Toei Toku, is very samey overall. So when you're getting something and you think you're oh, I know what's going on, even if you're not thinking this consciously, you're I know what's going on because I've seen 15 seasons of Kamen Rider, and then it doesn't go the way you want, or it's taking too long, or it goes too fast, or something, you might be inherently react negatively to it because you feel like you're being misled, or that your expectations haven't been met, but you're really just not adjusting your expectations to what the show is actually trying to give you, right? I think that's a huge problem for it's not just Toku, it's any genre where everything is so fucking samey because they're we're still recycling plot points from the end of fucking time. Gundam is like this too. The Gundam fandom is like this too. People complain about shows being too samey or not Gundam enough when they're just not reining in their expectations and engaging with the show on its own value, as opposed to when it's something that's a mega super ultra fucking franchise like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, whatever. You have to remember to engage with the show not just as a piece of that franchise, but it's on its own individual terms and merit. So when you don't engage with I don't know, Saber on its own merit and purely just based on its place in the franchise or the legacy of Kamen Rider, or based on your experiences and likes and dislikes with other seasons of the show, but you don't give it the time, you don't give it its own room or its own respect as to what it's actually trying to do, that's how you get people who are just fervently viciously negative towards whatever the new show is, because it's not immediately what they think Kamen Rider should be. Again, I'm guilty of this too at some points, or whatever. You're engaging with it as an extension of the franchise and not as its own actual, just its own fucking thing. Hibiki is also a good example of this. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say something else, but now my brain's gone to
Yeah, I ended up saying more than I wanted to.
Oh, that's fine. It's only half related, but I realized I've pondered this before because all we do is watch TV shows around here.
Nuts.
Um,
Go on.
Yeah. I have wondered before. It's like, what Transformers shows would I like put people onto besides Beast Wars, which is the only show,
Animated,
and possibly by extension Beast Machines, animated, and then it's like
Prime.
But that's only 3 shows on Prime.
I mean, you don't think so? The only thing I know about Prime is that people say it's the best one.
Prime is fine until you have to finish watching it, and that means you have to watch the last bit, and it is not. It doesn't end terribly well, I don't think.
See that clip going around of Optus being like, "No,
no."
I
fucking love
something funny.
Everyone's such a funny fucking asshole in Prime. They're all a bunch of clowns.
No.
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 Do you want to see something funny? No.
No.
What like? But other than that, because that's only
make people
3 or
watch
4.
Energon.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, Energon. That's a. That show is 50 fucking episodes long.
No, I don't, because I don't watch that shit.
That shit is insane. I've watched, I think, 4 episodes of that in my life when I was a kid, and I can't imagine what that is like to watch all the way through, because it's bad.
Watch
bad TV.
Rescue
Watch
Bots,
RID,
Baby Girl.
the first one.
Rescue Bots.
Watch Rescue Bots. Watch the original RID.
I love how mad people used to get about Rescue Bots.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's
how
for
can you be
5-year-olds, son. Chill.
You gotta relax,
bro. Prime was on at the same time.
Yeah,
fucking relax, bro.
So funny when characters from Rescue Bots show up in the other RID, the next one that's the sequel to Prime. Yeah, Blur shows up in it.
That's funny.
And Sideswipe shows up in Rescue Bots.
People are mad as hell. Is like, go watch fucking Pound Puppies, you idiot.
Fucking chill out, dude.
I'm trying to watch. I'm trying to watch Friendship is Magic, and there's people like 2 doors down screaming at each other because fucking Optimus Prime made a cameo in fucking Rescue Bots. Chill.
Awesome.
Chill.
Relax.
Yeah, Taiga
was not a popular choice when it was airing. I remember going back to that discussion.
Taiga was not a popular choice when it was airing. I think that maybe time will be kinder to it.
Yeah, everything I'm seeing out of the live blog makes it look really good.
It's now I get what you're saying, that Taiga maybe is a case of misplaced expectations, but I think that's still kind of on the show's fault because it was advertised with 3 ultras. They did give people those expectations. I think it was a victim of poor advertising, because I still don't know much about Taiga, like the nitty gritty of it, but I know about Taiga is like it was advertised with the main character being the son of Ultraman Taro, which isn't relevant to the show, and 2 other way more interesting Ultraman with really interesting backstories, one of which references some of the most esoteric and like obscure parts of Ultra lore with U50 or U40, I mean Jonius and U40.
Awesome.
And Titus isn't really that important, not to mention that all of that backstory and actual character stuff is all lost to the fucking stupid audio drama.
Unreal that they did that. That's kind of rough.
I definitely think that Taiga isn't as bad as we make it out to be.
Yeah,
but
I think coming off the back of Trigger,
I do think that people have. I don't think that the reception that it got was totally unwarranted.
Yeah, but yeah, coming out of watching Trigger week to week,
Taiga's got to be better than that.
Yeah, heads and fucking shoulders. Even just from the bits that I'm seeing from Rob watching it, it's like, wow, this is like a show.
Good, huh? It's like an Ultraman show in here.
These episodes it's like Ultraman.
I think that Taiga would have been better if they just dropped Titus and Fuma. I mean, the audio drama form allows them going back to the show the way I never could. I mean, that might be true, but it bothers me I mean, I get that. Like the audio dramas are trying to harken back to old school anthology Ultra, which is what we started this conversation with, which is just not going to be on TV anymore. But I think that Taiga as an actual show in the moment to moment, like as a television show that needs to be sold to people who need to watch it, I think it would have been better if they just dropped Titus and Fuma. Maybe dropped the legacy stuff too. The Taro stuff. I mean, I don't think Taiga needed to be related to Taro. The show is the show is the anthology, isn't it? Like, I think they tried too hard. Something got fucked along the way. Someone is a victim. Someone is a victim in this Taiga story. Somebody got fucked. I don't know who got fucked exactly. But there's no way that they planned to have these 3 Ultramen and this connection to Taro and have all of that just be so inconsequential to the ultimate like actual meaning of the show. Somebody got fucked. I don't know who got fucked or why or how or when. But something went wrong. Somebody didn't agree. Like Rob was saying, maybe the toy people and the writers had different ideas.
Yeah, it's generally something like
didn't go right for that show, which is unfortunate. But I do think that perhaps time will be kinder to it. It's unfortunate almost that Taiga failed. I don't know if it really failed. I wouldn't really call Taiga a failure. It certainly didn't make any waves in the Western market, but I don't know if the Japanese market loved it or not.
I never got much of that impression.
Well, that was right before Super really opened the floodgates to us.
It's true.
I'm not suggesting that they make the Ultras more important. I'm actually suggesting they make the Ultras even less important. Because with 3 characters to go around, but none of the focus being on those characters, they're going to feel wasted. Because I always got the impression from basically everything that I've heard about the show that Fuma and Titus are completely wasted on the show. And I think that dropping the 2 of them and just having it be a normal 1 Ultra show and then focusing really hard on the anthology stuff would be fine, and it wouldn't leave any singed hairs in terms of people expecting things that it's not going to deliver to them. But Taiga was right before they opened the floodgates with Ultra Galaxy and Zed in terms of Western availability.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's almost, I mean, let's just assume that Taiga didn't exactly make gangbusters or particularly isn't particularly beloved. I almost wish that it was, because it would probably promote a better, a more courageous direction for Ultra. Because if you think, like, Rube was right before that, and that was a really bold direction to go in for Ultraman with the 2 protagonists, and a show that actually acknowledged both of them being protagonists and actually had both of them always present, unlike Ultraman Tri-Squad, which is not the name of the television show. But then, you know, Zed was its own thing. It was also an anniversary thing, I believe.
A 0.
Yeah, but Zed was its own thing, and I have no complaints about Zed because I loved Zed. I think what it did was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a miracle. Somebody said a while ago that Gokaiger was a miracle for coming out the way it did, when like it could have easily failed. I think Zed is kind of a miracle, considering that its head writer died during production.
Yeah.
And they managed to pull out a show that was pretty thematically good. Like, it floundered a little here and there, but overall, I think Zed did a fantastic job picking up its pieces. Having a head writer who suddenly died mid-production before penning pretty much anything, really. The only things I think that are actually credited to his pen are the first episode and an adapted version of the last episode. Isn't that right?
That makes sense. I think that's right. That makes sense because
I know that the last plot arc was adapted from his work, but somebody else did like pick up the pieces and finish the job for him. But like, you know, now the direction that Ultraman is going is fucking stupid, lame, boring, and
bad,
safe. I mean, Trigger was ultimately just a really safe bet, regardless of quality, which the quality wasn't there, but it was just a safe bet. A few episodes in the middle, credit to him. I see. Like it was just a really safe bet, and I guess I can't maybe really fault Supro for wanting to play it safe every now and again, because they are not exactly still like, they can't afford to take like massive L's, you know. You know, Toei can afford to take Sentai at a loss for a few years, maybe forever, honestly, because they're Toei and they own fucking Dragon Ball. You know, Supro doesn't own Dragon Ball. They own Ultraman, and that's it. So they can't afford to take an L like that. Trigger is the most profitable Ultra ever. Great.
That's so fucked up.
That's what I mean. It's safe. It's safe. That's what I'm saying. It's safe.
Super safe.
It's super safe.
My theory behind that as well is it is also the first year where they did electronic collectibles, so that will naturally just pull in more money because they cost more.
Yep.
Even if it just sold completely standard for every other Ultra show, it still would have made more because they had to charge more because it was more complicated stuff.
Yeah.
Even though they fucking suck.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what those things are called.
It's been on the up for 10 years straight. It's been on the up, yeah, but I mean, Super's done a great job clawing its way out of that fucking hole post Mabius. And you know, there's a movie, you know. Didn't that open like #1 in Japan? Shin Ultraman?
It's done insanely well, I believe.
Yeah, so like
they can
afford to take a risk, but I can see that they wouldn't want to take a risk. You know? They also did beat those allegations. Like, Supro's definitely on the up and up, which maybe honestly makes it more aggravating to me that they are playing it so safe with Decker again. And it's really gonna burst the bubble. It's gonna be the fastest bubble burst, like nostalgia bubble burst ever, if they really do Gaia next year.
That's gonna be something fucked.
Who the fuck was this? I mean, who's actually excited? I haven't seen anybody actually be excited for Decker.
No, because who cares about Dinah?
Because nobody fucking cares about Dinah.
It was Tiga only, the fucking TDG guys. That's
maybe people in South America are hyped for this.
True, yeah. Oh, and Malaysia, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I have in fact in person talked to a lady who's from Malaysia. And she's like, "Oh, you watch Ultraman? I grew up watching Tiga and Dinah," and I was like,
"And Dinah?
It's for you. It's for you, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, Trigger's on like now at the moment. It's new Tiga. It's not very
Yellow's
good,
actor cares about Dinah. Good for him. I'm glad somebody cares, huh?
Someone has to.
Someone has to. I like Dinah in theory. I'm never gonna watch it.
No.
I love Dinah in theory. I liked Dinah in Saga.
Yeah.
It really made me nostalgic for a show I have no actual interest in watching. And isn't that really what these things are all about?
Isn't that what it's all for?
It's a good crossover movie is if a show can make you fond of or nostalgic for something that you've never actually seen. Like Dinah, like Saga making me like Dinah. Like I would almost be like tempted to consider myself a fan of Dinah, even though I've never seen Dinah and I have no actual interest in watching Dinah.
Just because it was that good.
Just because I Saga wasn't even that good, but like the emotional bits of it hit very well. That's what Gokaiger does very well.
Yeah,
is making you care about or even consider yourself a fan of, you know, Sentai shows that are older than your fucking parents that you've never even seen.
It's weird that Kamen Rider's never managed to do that.
Not even once.
Not for all it's trying.
Decade has never done it. Geo has never done it. Revice certainly isn't even trying.
Nope. Funny how that works out.
The only time I felt that maybe was like the Kabuto arc of Geo.
Yeah, that was actually...
And I wasn't even really feeling nostalgic for Kabuto as much as I was just invested in what was happening in front of me at the moment.
Yeah.
The Blade app?
The Blade...
Baby girl,
no.
the Blade app? The fucking... The White Waz... The White Waz Zeo Trinity shit? That's what you...
No.
You consider that to be good?
No. Never.
I Sentai. I am feeling a little better, thank you. Sorry you missed the Toku.
This is all uncharted waters. We're not even on the VOD right now.
No, we've been off the VOD. We weren't supposed to go this long.
That's why we're allowed to just talk about whatever, because V doesn't have to worry about editing it.
No one will ever know. I
This
could
is
say
all
anything.
secret.
I thought the Hibiki arc of Geo was good. I'm just fucking kidding.
I had to think. I was like, what was... Oh yeah, Kyosuke. Oh. No. Isn't that Kiryu Kyosuke?
That was so fucking funny.
Who?
Imagine the Blade bits. I can imagine getting people who haven't seen Blade. Okay, if you didn't know better, maybe that is true. Okay, maybe, yeah. Maybe
I never finished Blade, so...
Don't.
I could...
No, actually you should, because the best part of Blade is the ending.
Yeah.
You watched the bad part of Blade. And then stopped.
Easy to do.
Easy to do, because the bad part of Blade...
started every show at some point.
Because the bad part of Blade is the first 30 episodes of Blade.
Yeah, it's real easy to not watch the good bit, because you have to invest a lot of time.
Ghost. Okay, the Ghost one was fine.
The Ghost one was okay. Was that...
That was...
Decade was there.
Uh-huh.
Stupid. Yurusen was there.
The Agito one, I actually didn't watch, because I didn't finish Agito.
The Agito one was... Yeah, it was good.
Agito was there.
It was Agito was there, which was nice. It's always nice
They
to
did
see
the
him.
Trinity joke.
They did the Trinity joke. Mana was there. And what's his name? The guy who isn't Ozawa or Hikawa from...
Oh, the other guy?
Unit. The other guy.
They really got that guy?
He picked up the phone, apparently. And they had a bunch of G3s.
Yeah, G3. Well, they weren't even G3 milds. They were just like G3?
Just normal G3s.
Because there's no way
the
G3...
police just had
there's
those.
literally zero chance that G3 mild still exists.
Chance.
Absolutely zero.
Yeah, that was kind of fucked up.
That was kind of fucked up.
I do wonder about it, because those were just normal people, and they
Fuck
just
'em.
fucking murked them.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
I don't remember that at all, no. I think they just killed him.
Do you know what?
Also,
go ahead.
Another Agito, they were funny for that.
Funny.
They had to be. What else could you do? But
you trapped yourself in a corner on that one.
We have to use.
Did they come up with the another rider thing before they realized that? Like they were like, yeah, and then
I don't think they could have.
Somebody came into work the next day and they're like, hey guys,
we're doing the Agito episode now, boss.
Oh shit! Fuck. Yeah.
It was It was a different suit though.
It was slightly different. They changed the chest, I think.
Yeah, and like the eyes were more in line with the another riders because they looked weird.
Oh right.
Nothing.
Stupid. I remember it took everybody, like it took all of us a couple weeks to realize that. Like I feel like it took everybody like a week or two to realize that when they did Agito, it would be another Agito.
Yeah.
As the show was airing, I remember when people started being like, "Oh wait, shit! Another Agito is already a thing."
Yeah, they can't. And then they just did it.
Do you know what One Piece Media did actually manage, maybe depending on your thing, make you nostalgic for a show you maybe never seen? Is Kamen Rider Songo, or Yongo, I mean, for Faiz.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yongo for Faiz did actually make me nostalgic for Faiz, a show that I marketably don't like. In theory.
Yeah, I don't like it in theory.
I don't like it, but I do like it in theory.
I feel a way about Faiz. I don't know.
Revice the Mystery did. Revice the Mystery did nothing except make me fucking laugh.
Revice the Mystery is literally the best fucking piece of writer media they've made in the last fucking 20 years.
I can't believe that was a real thing that we actually watched.
I love that we were like, oh, they've got the man who just won't leave now. Since they're going back for Saber, he won't fuck off. So they just put him in here as a guitar instructor. Very funny.
Very
Oh,
funny.
wait.
Oh, shit.
Hold
What a
on.
funny
When they
guy.
do the thing of
The
him
only
suiting up,
Vice
putting on
character
the
who didn't
jacket.
die.
Literally just him.
It's just him.
And like the humans who no one cares about.
No, they died.
No, they didn't.
I swear to God, in fucking Yongo, he says that like everyone died, like everyone.
Fuck me, no way.
I swear that he doesn't say it. He doesn't say it directly, but he did.
Yeah, like
he did
all of his
seem
allies,
to imply that like
say.
everybody died, like even Mari and Keitaro died somehow.
Fucked up. That's so fucked. Oh, the 80 episode. That's a good example. I watched. That was one of the more recent episodes of Maybe I watched.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Ryu buys a little doll, a Sofubi of 80, and he comes into guys, and he's like, Ryu, I got a doll of your brother.
Yeah, boy, you can buy it, and he's like, you can fucking buy those.
Do they make those of me?
They make those. Who gets the money for that?
Like, it's anytime that kind of thing comes up, it's like, do they have to pay licensing?
Like
the Ultraman Cafe that they talk about, it's like, that's fucked up, isn't it?
Who's fucking...
Imagine if we... I mean, I think we would probably, but I think the thing I thought when I watched that was like, if aliens showed up tomorrow, how long would it be until we had like the whatever alien cafe?
I mean, we already have that. If you believe in that kind of crap, we got that shit in America all over the place.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if like 10, like directly,
like literal real aliens, yeah, undeniably true,
undeniably who have come down, interacted with humans, and like everyone knows they exist, and then we're just like, by the way, the alien cafe.
Yeah, you can put as many modifiers on a sentence as you want, but there are people who already think that those things happened.
Yeah, it's true.
And there are cafes about it. I went to the Mothman Museum in Virginia, in West Virginia. I took Polaroid pictures of the Mothman statue's ass.
Awesome. I guess what is all of the Loch Ness tourist industry over here?
Yeah,
as well?
So you guys have some shit like that. Roswell shit.
I've been to Loch Ness.
I've never been. I'd
be fucking surprised if you had.
I had never been. You guys have all seen the I assume that some of you have seen the fucking BuzzFeed Unraveled about Mothman. Do you guys know? Do you know that? I went to the. I'm not. There's like the Mothman pizza place. I went to that. I ate there. I didn't get the Mothman pizza because it's actually kind of fucking gross. But their pizza was actually pretty good. It was real like, I don't know if I can describe it. I don't know what British pizza is like.
We have places, but I don't think anything like in like what.
I mean, you guys have chains. You got like Domino's and like shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like. Does the UK have a lot of homemade that's because you're so close to like the real place.
Yeah, kind of.
Y'all probably have a lot of American. Well, I mean, like pizza as this we're getting like way off topic here. Like pizza in like the American sense is like something that was created by Italian immigrants here. You know?
Yeah.
Like I'm of the understanding that like the American pizza isn't really what true Italian pizza is like.
I believe that to be the case.
I believe that to be the case. Apparently, there's a lot of Italian, like what Americans would consider to be like classically Italian dishes, like spaghetti. I can think of it like our American version of like pizza, our American version of spaghetti, our American version of like lasagna and shit like that are actually. I mean, they're not authentic. Authentic was the word I'm looking for. Like authentic Italian dishes. They are authentic, but they're authentic to Italian immigrants.
Yeah, they're not Italian.
Not Italian, because a lot of the Italian palate apparently changed when a lot of them migrated to the United States because they found themselves able to afford meat for the first time in their lives, basically.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So the authentic Italian American diet is a lot different than the authentic Italian diet. As I understand it to be, but I'm not.
I will say I I'm realizing we don't really, I don't know what like the general availability of it is, but like I grew up very close to, like, both in proximity and in terms of the fact we were like some of the first people who went there. An Italian restaurant, and that's like they're like over like I think they like just literally came over from Italy and like made a restaurant in this small little island I grew up on.
Lads.
So that's about as close to like tradition, like actual Italian food in Italy that you're probably going to get. And I'm thinking about the pizza I've had there, and it's very different actually.
It's like
it's the same notion. It's, you know, flat dough and tomato sauce and cheese, but just it's not. It's like just not the same thing. The texture's
a lot different, right?
It's nothing like as
not
dense,
as cheesy. Kind of. It's not as cheesy.
No, it's quite thin.
Quite thin. I think there's more of an emphasis on the sauce.
Yeah, definitely.
I've heard it uncharitably described as soupier.
I can see that. A bit more watery.
Yeah. American pizza is a lot like denser in terms of like calories, and like the sauce is thicker. There's a lot of cheese on it.
I don't think I ever had any pizza when I was in New York.
New York pizza's good. Anyway, the Mothman place. If you're an American, the pizza at the Mothman place is basically exactly what you would expect the kind of like local pizza joint kind of pizza to be. Like it's a little greasy. It's really good. Like it's just like that local pizza, like that non-chain local pizza kind of shit. That's exactly what it tastes like. American Chinese takeout is not something made. Is something made by Chinese immigrants. That style of takeout is not really a thing in Chinese. Yeah, you find that a lot of what Americans would consider to be authentic food for any specific culture is not necessarily unauthentic.
It's just not.
It's authentic to their immigrants as much as it, because the culture, like during the times when those people were immigrating to the country, they had like radically different socioeconomic like standards from their home country. So like their food changed as a result. It's very fascinating, actually. But it's not so much that people consider it to be authentic. It's like people would consider it to be inauthentic. Like, oh, Chinese takeout's not real Chinese food. But it is. It's just real Chinese American food. It's not what real immigrants made in their real Chinese restaurants run by first-generation immigrants, because the food that they had access to was different, and the socioeconomic availability of foods was different.
It's a shame that history is how it is, because I'd love to know what like if British immigrant was a thing like that. I'd love to know what that would look like, you know?
What would that
version of like slightly changed, still the same notion of dish, but
I tell you can't get British food over here. You can't get what's it? Come on, give me the bit. I don't remember what it's called.
What, fish and chips?
Peas on the water. Well, you can't get fish and chips here.
Oh, pays wet. Smack bomb.
You can't get that shit
here. In Wigan, it's as good as gravy.
It's good as gravy.
Awesome.
You can't get that shit here. At least I've never fucking seen it. I don't particularly think I've ever seen anywhere in America serve quote unquote authentic British food.
I don't know what authentic British food fucking is.
There is no such thing as authentic British food.
There is no such fucking thing.
I mean, there's the same thing as there's no authentic American food.
Yeah,
I mean, if you consider like barbecue, I mean, I guess barbecue is pretty authentically American, but only to specific regions of America, and even then, it varies wildly. You know, but
now
you consider like
Scottish food. That's a thing.
Now that's a thing. I've also never
I've
never been to a Scottish place. Like, you know, you would consider the burger to be an American, not necessarily true, but it's what most people would consider to be like the American food. Fried chicken. You know, the fried foods, the grilled foods, it's what you consider to be the American dining experience.
Yeah, and I don't know, we don't really have that.
Beans on
toast.
There
aren't really a lot of beans on toast.
You got burgers. You got
bangers and mash.
You got a few burgers treating you like burger at the Wendy. Y'all got Burger King over there?
We got all the big.
Call that Burger Queen.
Do
you have Dairy Queen?
It'd be funny if we did. Nope.
No.
No, we haven't got that.
Really not missing much, to be honest.
Having Wendy's is like a new thing. There's like 2 in the whole country, and we've got one of them here.
You're not missing a whole lot out of a Wendy's. I mean, they're good. They're all right.
Their fries are pretty nice.
Their fries are decent.
The franchise they've got here is such a fucking shambles, though. It's kind of amazing. I forget what a badly run fast food place can be like. The food's fine. It's just like so chaotic every time I've been in there because they're kind of not familiar with anything.
Never had treat to a burger before.
Yeah, we've got some stuff. I mean, the thing is, I don't know how far you can dig into what is authentic, but like, yeah, Toad in the Hole, fucking Bangers and Mash, very similar notion. Yorkshire pudding,
yeah. I feel like a lot of authentic British food is like holiday stuff. Well, like Americans would consider holiday food.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Well, I guess you guys consider that holiday food too, for the most, like a traditional British holiday, you know.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean,
turkey,
Yorkshire pudding, that's
pudding
Sunday.
And all that kind of things. Jelly babies.
They
still make those some bitches?
Oh yeah. Them and licorice, all sorts. We're all over the sweets, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's true. I feel like that's what a generation of Americans know about British from like Harry Potter. It's just sweets.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of that.
I don't know if you've ever actually seen those movies, but there's such an emphasis on.
Yeah, there really sweets. Is. No, of course I've seen them.
I don't know. I don't know. I have no actual idea what the culture. I mean, except I do know, but I don't actually have a study in my head of like the cultural impact of the British book series Harry Potter and the British populace, other than the obvious.
Other than the obvious, yeah. No, I mean it was big. I saw them all.
Yeah.
I read them, you know, because I was.
Everybody read them.
Yeah, I mean, like what I was.
One of the biggest book series in the world.
Yeah.
Do you have...
It's so hard to think. Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
What were you gonna ask?
Do you have like places in Britain that, like, promise an authentic American dining experience? I'm not talking about like the McDonald's or whatever, but do you have like do you have like pubs that are like build themselves as like an American ale house or some shit like that?
Not
or like American style restaurants?
Yeah, we definitely have those.
Like family diners and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. We got one in the shopping center here, Ed's Diner.
I guess that's
pretty nice.
I don't think British people would want a American pub experience.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity.
Yeah, a lot of animosity between
great nations, which is, I suppose, is why we both don't really have a lot of experiences of.
There's
of like.
Well, it's just the British people have their feelings about their alcohols, and the American peoples have their feelings about their shitty alcohols. There are definitely British pubs in America, though, like the British pub experience. With the rise of craft beers and everything in America.
Oy.
The
thing, it's so odd to me to consider because, like, literally, you cannot walk for like.
You can't walk for 5 minutes without seeing a fucking pub.
For real, there's one at either end of my road.
Nice.
That is a bit exceptional, I will say. But like literally bookending the street I'm on, there's one each end leading out onto the.
There's definitely large American cities that have an inappropriately large amount of alcohol establishments. New York, Chicago, Charlotte. You know, your big cities have a lot of pubs in them.
Yeah.
Not as much as the British populace.
Yeah, Jesus.
You'd be in the middle of the countryside and there'd be a pub out there.
Tiny little fucking town I grew up in. It's got them within eyesight of each other.
There's a couple cows walking around. It's like that with Starbucks in some cities in America.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In London, it's like that with fucking Cafe Nero's and whatever.
I want to eat something. I want to eat food.
We've been talking about food for a while. I think we might be telling ourselves we're hungry.
Maybe I'll try to eat something real today.
Oh yeah, you've been struggling with food, huh?
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna send you guys away. Get out. Let me find something to raid.
Where the MILF's at?
Oh shit, Pia's playing Minecraft.
Oh, Pia. Minecraft.
Pia and her new gen mates. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I actually don't know.
Oh, that's crazy. People. I forgot about that.
Except I need to. Somebody should tell them that the description and category are wrong.
Oh,
that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. We cut off the VOD for 2 hours and then we talk some more. I might grab this off of. Twitch and make a VOD out of it anyway.
Yeah, it's
we did talk for a long time, and I feel like there's some stuff that's worth keeping in there.
Yeah,
we'll just bill it as a special. I'll keep the Loopad episode in. I mean, why not? Fucking why not, right?
This has been more of the superhero time Tuesday Saturdays than the actual episodes were.
Yeah, well, that's how it's fine. We should probably start scheduling. We should start scheduling other streams where we can talk about things on topic.
Yeah, because as it is, we get once a week where we sit down. The Minecraft stream is going to be stream singular. That's very optimistic for you.
Yeah, I only agreed to one.
It's true.
Is that update out yet?
Yeah, it came out on the 7th.
I know that they condensed Java and Bedrock into one version now on PC.
I think it's that when you buy one, you get both.
I think they're condensing them because
no,
I had to upgrade my Java account into a
you
Xbox
have to migrate
account.
to because I guess it makes sense them being a big flagship thing for Microsoft. You have to have a Microsoft account instead of a Mojang specific.
I bought Java Edition before Bedrock Edition was even a thing.
Yeah, same.
In fucking 2012 or whatever, and I never had to rebuy it because every time I lose it, I managed to recover my account. With none of the data, of course. So I have nothing.
Of course, that's all local, but
yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna send you guys over to Pia, and maybe think about buying a pizza.
Ooh.
Perhaps.
Voss has had the oven on for a pizza for the last at least 40 minutes, and he keeps messaging me go put the pizza in.
Put that pizza.
I'm busy.
All right, so I will send you guys over to Pia and these other, I'm sure, very lovely VTubers that I don't know anything about. And I will see you guys. I'll actually see you guys tomorrow if you want in the Discord. We're gonna be watching some more of quote unquote E3 tomorrow and the next day. Actually, it's gonna be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday because Capcom has a thing on Monday. So check the Discord for some info about that stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.